You're standing at the kitchen counter, waiting for the coffee to finish, and you feel it before you notice it. A weight settles against your leg. Warm, solid, unmoving. Your dog has leaned into you, and without even looking down, you already know exactly what it means. Or at least you think you do. Most of us would call it love and leave it there. And in a way, we'd be right. But that small, ordinary moment, a dog choosing to press its body against yours and simply stay there, turns out to be one of the most quietly revealing things a dog ever does. It sits at the crossing point of hormones, history, memory, and trust. And once you know what to look for, you'll never see it quite the same way again. So here's the real question. When your dog leans against you, what is actually happening? Not the story we tell ourselves about it. What's happening in the dog's body, in its nervous system, in the relationship between the two of you, right at that moment. The first thing worth knowing is that leaning is not one single behavior with one single meaning. It looks the same from the outside almost every time. Weight transferred, stillness, contact held for longer than a passing brush. But the same posture can be produced by very different internal states, and the only way to tell them apart is to look past the lean itself and pay attention to everything happening around it. Watch the eyes first. A dog leaning in comfort usually has soft, half-closed eyes, an unhurried blink, a face with no visible tension. The breathing is slow and even. Often, within a few seconds, you'll hear it, a long, audible exhale.
The same dog, the same lean, the same weight against your leg, but this time the tail is tucked low and stiff. The eyes show a rim of white around the edge. The panting has nothing to do with heat, and the body doesn't relax when you touch it. It stays braced. Same posture, completely different event. One is a dog settling into safety. The other is a dog looking for it. This is the part most explanations skip, because for decades the folk answer to almost any confusing dog behavior was some version of dominance. The idea that a dog leaning on you, or blocking a doorway, or resting a paw on your arm was somehow staking a claim, testing rank, asserting control. That idea has been picked apart repeatedly by modern behavior science and doesn't hold up here. There's no meaningful evidence connecting leaning to any kind of social hierarchy contest. What the evidence does point to is something both simpler and, honestly, more moving. Dogs that lean on people are overwhelmingly leaning on people they already trust. Not strangers, not unfamiliar hands. A specific familiar person chosen out of everyone in the room. Researchers studying dog-owner relationships have found that dogs show an organized pattern of seeking out one particular person as a kind of home base when the world feels even slightly uncertain. The same basic structure psychologists once used to describe how human infants use a caregiver as a secure base to venture out from and return to. Nobody is claiming a dog's bond is identical to a child's attachment to a parent, but the underlying shape, proximity to one trusted individual increasing under mild uncertainty, shows up again and again. And there's a physical
touch between a dog and a familiar person has been linked in multiple studies to a rise in oxytocin, a hormone tied across many mammals to bonding, calm, and safety. It rises in the dog. In several studies, it rises in the person too. Some research has also found that contact with a trusted person can lower a stressed dog's cortisol, the hormone most associated with the body's alarm system. None of this is a single tidy proof of love in the way we experience it, but it's real, measurable evidence that physical contact with the right person can change what's happening in a dog's body, in the moment it happens. Which raises a fair question. Is any of this actually built into dogs, or is it just something they've learned works? The honest answer is probably both, tangled together. Wolves show plenty of affiliative body contact with their own family groups, resting piled together, leaning during sleep, casual touch throughout the day. But sustained, deliberate contact seeking specifically directed at humans looks different. Studies comparing hand-raised wolves and dogs, going back to research out of the Family Dog Project in Budapest, have found that dogs default to human contact and eye contact far more readily than wolves, raised the exact same way by the exact same people. Something in dogs, shaped by thousands of years living alongside us, points them toward us specifically, not just toward warm bodies in general. On top of that instinct sits a lifetime of learning, unique to every individual dog. If leaning gets rewarded, A hand resting on the dog's back, quiet praise, simply not being pushed away. The behavior gets reinforced. The way
A dog that first leaned during a single frightening thunderstorm and was comforted for it may end up leaning on quiet, easy evenings for the rest of its life, long after the original fear is gone. The habit outlives the reason it started. That's not manipulation. That's just how learning works, in dogs and in us. It's worth pausing here on the other half of this relationship, because leaning is never a one-way transaction. How you respond in that moment quietly trains what happens next time. A rested hand, a softened voice, a shift in your own posture toward the dog. All of it tells the dog, in the only language that matters to a dog, that this was the right move. Ignore it consistently, and many dogs will simply stop offering it or find another way to ask for closeness. Respond to it harshly, and a dog that was leaning for comfort may start associating you, the supposed source of safety, with a small jolt of uncertainty instead. The lean is the dog's move. What you do next writes the rest of the sentence. That feedback loop plays out differently across different homes. A rescue dog with a shaky early history might take months before leaning appears at all, and when it finally does, it can mark a real turning point. Not proof that trust has arrived instantly, but evidence that it's being built, one calm repetition at a time. In a multi-dog household, a dog might lean more when a housemate is nearby and less when alone with you, hinting that the behavior isn't only about you, but about managing the whole social situation in the room. None of this needs to be dramatic to matter. Most of the real evidence for a dog's inner life shows up in small, repeatable moments like this one, not in anything a camera would naturally call cinematic.
This is also where breed and age and individual history come in, and where the honest answer gets a little less tidy. Popular belief loves to sort dogs into leaners and non-leaners by breed, but the actual evidence for that is thin, mostly anecdotal, not firmly established. What does seem to matter more is the individual dog, its temperament, its early socialization, and its specific history with the specific person it's leaning on. Puppies tend to show more frequent, less differentiated contact seeking as part of normal social development. Older dogs sometimes lean more as vision or hearing declines, or as mild anxiety increases with age. Worth noticing, not worth assuming. And here's something equally important to say clearly. A dog that doesn't lean on you is not a dog that trusts you less. Contact-seeking style varies enormously between individual dogs. Some of the most securely attached dogs on record show their trust through quiet proximity, a raised head watching a room, choosing to sleep nearby without ever making contact at all. Leaning is one dialect of trust. It isn't the only one, and its absence isn't evidence of anything missing. There's one more layer worth knowing, mostly because it protects the dog. A sudden increase in leaning or contact seeking, especially alongside pacing, trembling, changes in appetite, or avoiding normal routines, can sometimes point to pain, illness, or a real jump in anxiety, not simple affection. This documentary isn't going to diagnose that for you, because it can't, and no video should try. But if the pattern changes suddenly and doesn't fit the dog's normal behavior, a veterinarian or a certified applied animal behaviorist is the right next step, not guesswork.
The coffee still brewing, the weight settling against your leg. Look at what you can actually see now. The eyes, soft or tense. The tail, loose or tucked. The breathing, slow or quick. The history behind this exact dog, in this exact house, with you specifically. All of it folded into one small, ordinary gesture that most people walk past 100 times a year without ever really looking at. It's still trust. That part hasn't changed. But now you know what kind, and you know how to tell it apart from the kind that's asking for help instead of simply resting in it. The next time your dog leans into you, you won't just feel it, you'll actually understand what you're being told.